From the time they come into early on till the time we leave, we talk about to the parent about this magical age of 3, when our services will end and something else will begin. As we move closer to age 3, usually around 2 to 2 years, 3 months, we start talking to the parent about what their vision is for when their child is 3.
The transition planning process should include any professionals, any people who are working with the child at that point, including the parents, including any service providers who might be caring for that child, and should include school officials, should include people who are getting ready to provide services to that child in special education or getting ready to evaluate the child for special education eligibility.
We put this all down on paper, and it is part of the IFSP, and it's called the transition plan.
The plan itself is where the results of the process are documented. It is not just a piece of paper. It's not a form that is there to be filled out and then forgotten. It reflects a team collaboration on behalf of a child to identify specifics about what kinds of services are going to be provided, to identify where those services are going to be provided, and to say that when a child turns 3, here's what's going to happen.
Maddie's teacher spoke with us about beginning the transition into preschool much sooner than I felt like I was ready. Nancy assured me that it was important to talk about it so that we could have time to discuss all of the options and decide what would be the best for Maddie.
When you're making the transition from early on to special education, from Part C to Part B, one of the things you have to be careful about is to understand that the services you're going to get are going to look different. You're not going to be getting family supports the same way that you got under Part C. Part B is an educational program. It is a school program.
I would say that my main advice for families that are transitioning out of Part C and going into Part B would be that the location of the services are going to change, but your involvement as a parent is not going to change. It's still going to be really crucial that families are involved in every aspect of the care. They'll be a part of the IEP. There'll be a team meeting where they will have their input. They'll be in charge of goals and really have a strong voice. So even though the service provider isn't there in their environment where they're seeing them all the time, it's still really important for parents to know that they're still a crucial member of the team.
You should have an exchange between the teacher in the current setting and the teacher in the anticipated setting, so that those teachers have a chance to share what they've learned about the child and what teaching techniques may work well, what may be triggers for inappropriate behavior, how do you interact with this child?
And I think part of the transition from my end is helping that family move from a home-based situation to a school-based situation. So, kind of talking about how those are going to be different, how they're going to be the same, what kind of supports the families will receive and in what way, so that when they come in, there aren't any surprises. They feel pretty comfortable easing into the classroom setting.
If a child's not eligible for special education once they turn 3, then they may be eligible for other service systems.
Right now, Kate has recently been reassessed, and her evaluation showed that she no longer requires services from the Early On program. So in the coming weeks, we're hoping to meet with our service coordinator, Carmen, to discuss more in depth the role that she could have in other programs, maybe within our community, to bridge from the Early On program to her preschool years.
We have moved on from the Early On program to preschool, and the coordinator helped us with that. During the evaluation, we kind of took a look at, with all the therapists, where she stood, what she could handle, what her strengths were, and what would be a good path for her to take. And the coordinator gave us some options of what was out there and what was available to us. And of course, I was already out there looking at different preschools and different options for her. But they were very helpful in directing us based on her needs. They weren't going to send us to a classroom that wasn't going to challenge her, and they weren't going to send us to a classroom that was going to swallow her up either. So we were able to all work together and kind of determine what would be the best environment for her so she could continue to grow and learn.
I think families feel very welcome in that environment, which is very important, and they feel like they know what their role should be and how they can make a positive contribution to the classroom and the school. And on the other hand, which is just as important, I think teachers feel empowered because they now understand what are the needs of this child. They feel that they have the ability to address those needs, that they understand what would be the best way to do that, and they're prepared to welcome the child into that classroom.
I think the rest of our students are learning that regardless of the fact that some people have disabilities, they have the same educational rights as everybody else.
So special education is a service, it's not a place.
You do not have to agree to accept a special education classroom. That services can be provided, depending on what your child needs, can be provided in a general education setting. If your school district offers preschool to children without disabilities, or if your school is associated with a Head Start program, or if there is a school readiness program, there are other options that can be considered. And as part of your child's IEP team or your individualized education program team, you have some say in making sure that all of those options are considered.
I think the benefits of inclusion are all-encompassing for all the kids. For the kids with disabilities, they're coming from a home-based environment. They go to, there isn't a special ed McDonald's, there isn't a special ed church. I mean, they've already been included pretty much, or they're in a community. So now they can make that natural transition to a classroom with their peers, people they see at McDonald's, people they see in their neighborhood possibly. So it's very much a natural progression.
Children learn a lot about friendships and relationships by being together.
Knowing that she has the opportunity to get all of the support she needs, as well as being fully included and part of a community of kids that she's going to be going through school with, helps to know that she's getting all that she needs in all different aspects that kids need to be successful in school.
Well, the research says that the children who receive services in those settings actually are more prepared to go into regular schools. So if they're in a integrated preschool setting and then they go into kindergarten, they're ready to learn. They've learned the culture of schooling, they've learned how to interact with other children, and they actually do better in that regular classroom if they've had the opportunity to have inclusive preschool.
Early on was instrumental, I think, in helping us move. Megan is our older daughter, and she is now in kindergarten. She's in an inclusive environment in kindergarten, and all the steps that we laid in place for her, I think, up to that point, definitely made her ready to be in that inclusive environment. She loves to go to school. She rides the bus with the neighborhood kids. I mean, she's doing everything those other kindergartners are doing, and she loves school. And I think had we missed out on the opportunity to get all of those early services, she wouldn't be where she is today.